All right, hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out as always. So I'm back with some more short form gameplay content. You guys seem to appreciate this, so I'm back to do some more. There's 3 videos up already on the channel showing some gameplay with my redline list. This one, I'm going to do another 3 videos here, 3 different matchups. With my mid-range list. So I mentioned that we have options now. It's great. Rosetta gave us some awesome pieces we can play with, and there are a couple different directions you can take Vynnset now, and I think they're both viable. So the first 3 games on the channel were with my redline list. This one's for my mid-range build, which I'll show very, very briefly here during the first video. There you go, instead of a blank screen. So this one, similar pieces to redline for sure. You're going to see a lot of overlap, and I'll include, I'm not going to go through with a fine-tooth comb. There's videos, deck techs on the channel that explain this build, but also I'll include a link to the deck list in the description of the video. But you'll notice a lot of overlap between this build and the redline list. There are just certain pieces that you want to run in both. Differences are Machinations of Dominion, which you won't find in redline because it has a blue strip at the top, as well as Shadows of Ursa. Shadow of Ursa kind of fills the same role as Pumpkin. It just allows us to get some extra cards in Banish to go wide. You'll notice that there are some differences in the sideboard as well. I'm still on Reduce to Rune Chant in this list. I'm on Envelop since we have more pitch, but often we're trying to use the Tunic resource to pay for that. I'm on Widespread Destruction, which is in the redline list, but also Widespread Annihilation in the sideboard. So some more blue strips overall. We also have Oblivion as a nice sideboard piece. I'm on Reaping Blade. There's some more... this, I'm probably going to find room for Reaping Blade, by the way, in the redline build as well. There are a lot of those like grindy life gain control decks floating around in the meta right now. So Reaping Blade is kind of a must. So that's also one of the key differences. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. It's more about the gameplay than the deck list here in these videos. So let's get to commentating, I guess, and talking through this new matchup. I actually really like the new matchup. I think we're favored. We can still pivot towards more of a redline build, which is what you're going to see me do here is target most of our red cards for sideboarding. Just going to pause for a second. My reduces, I want to be able to like try and stifle some of their attack reactions, so our defense reactions, as well as our damage prevention and our block in Haunting Rendition are obvious choices. Read the Runes, especially since I'm going first, and then Envelop in Darkness, another nice red. I could have targeted the Revels as well. It would have been a good choice. And honestly, we can think about Destruction if we're worried about them setting up a spicy arsenal. No problem, but we definitely do not want to put Widespread Annihilation in against New because we don't want that to be sent towards our face. That feels quite bad. We can definitely be okay with them stealing Machinations from us, or a Shadow of Ursa is only a 0 for 2, so it's not really going to hurt us all that much. So I don't mind keeping those ones in. Sorry, I was just fast forwarding through their decision. But anyways, at start of game, we get a nice little hand here. We get to, we love this type of turn 0. This is the best case scenario is Banish Deathly Wail, play out a Read the Runes, and then we're just laughing. In this case, we never want to Arsenal Haunting Rendition. You'll only make that mistake once because you can't play block cards or you can't discard to activate its damage prevention ability from Arsenal. So we definitely do not want to Arsenal that card. So we went ahead and arsenaled the Shadow of Ursa instead. That will allow us to hopefully go a little bit wide later on. So they're in the tank here. I might just fast forward a little bit until they start to make some decisions. So they send out Beckoning Mistblade at us. We just snap take this often. Once per game, you can get Bloodied Oval as a great, thing to throw under the bus for a Beckoning Mistblade in New. I love to get that value from Bloodied Oval on a Beckoning Mistblade. In this case, we just took it. We're not too worried about it. They present a Levels of Enlightenment for 4 go again. And we decide to take this one as well. So we do have 2 copies of Haunting Rendition, which I could have probably thrown 1 in front of there, but I guess we're expecting something with an on hit is probably why I'm holding them back. But honestly, it might have been the call just to get value. I think what I'm really I wasn't expecting them to pitch 2 blues to Spider's Bite. I was expecting something with an on-hit. And so I was kind of like holding those cards back for an on-hit. But we got a little punished for our greed there, because now we're sitting here stuck with those Haunting Renditions. Not the end of the world, but it is what it is. So we banish our Bounding Demagon, and we just present the Deathly Whale with the Machinations of Dominion. So, sorry, to reiterate, we banished Bounding, we played Machinations to give our next Runeblade attack Dominate and Go Again. Then we played out the Whale, which now has Go Again and Dominate. They're going to soak up a bunch of rune chants, and they're probably going to have to take some damage here since this has Dominate, and they're not going to want to throw a bunch of equipment under the bus quite yet. But again, we're sort of stuck. We still have Shadow Averser in Arsenal, which is fine. I'm happy to sit on that for a turn where we get to go wide and try and get something extra in our banish zone. Often a Bounding Demagon is a good target for that. Unfortunately, we just kind of IP'd ourselves with those Haunting Renditions. In hindsight, I should have thrown one of them in front of the Levels of Enlightenment. But again, we were expecting something a little spicier with an on-hit, which is why we were holding them back. So it's fine. We'll get value from them next turn, but definitely not the best. I didn't get the best value out of that hand there. So now we go ahead and follow this up with Bounding Demagon for 4. They're going to soak up another 3. So they're happy taking a bunch of damage here. They must be setting up for a big turn. And we have a bunch of big responses for that. We don't have a good banish target in this hand, but we have a D-React we can surprise them with, which will be free because we have a Rune Chant from Deathly Whale last turn. We have a couple Haunting Renditions, and I also love to see Tunic on 2 when I'm holding an Envelop in Darkness, because I know it'll be online next turn. So we're expecting them to beef this up quite a bit. So for now, we're giving them a Haunting Rendition. We have an additional 2 damage prevention on the other Haunting Rendition, and we have a 4 block on our Reduced to Rune Chant. So we're pretty happy with that. They're going to buff it up to 4, which we're still fine. We don't need to react. We're still good on 4. They're going to buff it an additional 1. And here, the play might be to prevent that damage with Haunting Rendition. But in this case, I don't mind them hitting because we don't have any banish. Because we don't have any banished targets in our hand, I kind of want this to hit so that they might be able to banish something that we can use. So that's my thought process here. I'm choosing, I could prevent the damage from Haunting Rendition, but I'm choosing not to, because look at how many attacks they use just to give this Go Again and +1, and they banished us a Deathly Delight. So we're super happy with that. We finally have something that we can target and banish. They followed up with CNC, which hurts a little bit, especially when we're sitting on this Reduced to Rune Chant that we really want to use. So we're just going to send our Crown under the bus. It'll allow us to filter the Shadow. The Shadow Averser is not really doing anything for us in our next turn. So we'll probably go ahead and filter that to save it from this Command and Conquer on hit. And we get to, I just decided I'm going to get some value, an extra Rune Chant, as well as... some damage prevention, so we only take 2 from the Command and Conquer instead of 4. In this case, I'm thinking about our banish. I'm thinking about banishing this Reduced to Rune Chant because we're not going to be able to sit on Rune Chants at the end of the turn. And just going to pause. And so I would have to pay 1 for it, which I don't really want to do. I want to use Tunic Resource for Envelop in Darkness. We don't need to pay because we're going to give this Go Again with Machinations, which will allow us to follow it up with Flail. If we're going to follow it up with Flail, then we're going to get our 2 value, like life gain anyways, so we don't need to take the damage on Envelop in Darkness. They snap took all of the Rune Chants, and they're going to be taking another 5 here. Since this has Dominate, they don't really want to give us any equipment. We're going to follow it up with this and give them another decision. Do you want to essentially give us another card? Or do you want to give us an equipment? I don't know what happened there, but anyways, it hits. No, I think they rewound to the beginning of the turn. Maybe they didn't understand what happened. So we're just going to repeat what we just did. They decided to block differently. So how did they do that is my question, because this says Overpower. Oh, one of them's an attack reaction. Okay, yeah, no problem. So they just decided to block differently. They probably misinterpreted that block card 2, decided to give us an extra card. They still took the damage on Flail, and so we do end on 1 chant. Sorry for the confusion there. There was some takesy backsies and stuff, which is fine. We're practicing on Talishar. So on this next turn, we snap take Spider's Bite. They only have one card left in hand, so we're not too worried. And we're sitting on a Haunting Rendition, which is a nice block 4. They play Codex, which is not super awesome for us. We're probably just going to steal this Bounding, because I'm happy if they present. So another thing to think about into new, I'll pause again, is what you choose on Frailty, because they're often presenting the 0 for 4, what is it called? Well, we'll find out in a second. Leave no witnesses. So sometimes you want to just banish something, or you want to put something in Arsenal that you don't mind banishing. So Bounding Demagon is that for me. I choose to discard the Read the Runes to Frailty here, because it's not really doing much. I don't really want to take the next turn off. We don't have Eloquence, and then it would be hard to like play it. We could Creepers it in, but that would require a card, all this. So in this case, they had 2 floats, so they present Command and Conquer, which still threatens our arsenal, which is kind of fine. We don't mind having this Bounding banished for us, or in this case, Command and Conquer doesn't banish it, so that's kind of unfortunate, but I think we're probably still okay with that. But we do have like 2... We have 2 cards. We can't really banish both of these cards, so we only need one of these cards. So I'm deciding to just block this out. We'll preserve the Bounding for later. It'll be a free 0.0 for 3. This blocks at Xaxes because Spider Bite reduces our 3 block to a 2 block on our attack. But we still have that block 4, which is great. None of their equipment can debuff our block 4, I don't think. So now we just go ahead, simple enough. We're going to banish that Deathly Delight. We were able to prevent a bunch of damage and stay at a relatively high life total. So it's good enough in this case to just banish Deathly and present a 2 and 5. 2 card 7 is nothing to scoff at. With some additional benefit here if they do take damage, which they have not so far. But if they do, we will gain a life. They're blocking 1, which makes us believe that they have a D-React to cover this up. Xaxes for 5. I'm going to stop fast forwarding. But now we're basically moving on. So let's see what they have. They have a 2-card hand and 1 in Arsenal. So we'll see what they are able to present here. They're thinking. We are fast forwarding. They present Spider's Bite, and we're good just taking it. Often we're just snap taking it. Leave no witnesses. So I can't remember what I have in Arsenal right now. We'll find out in a second if we want or care for it to be banished. Oh, it's still that Bounding, isn't it? So in this case, yeah, we're happy for the Bounding to be banished. We just take it. I think they hit something else for us off the top, which is great. We can add another Bounding, but I'm thinking about... So whenever I have Bounding and Shadow Averser, there's some shenanigans that can happen. So I'm probably going to banish the Shadow Averser, because I can play it out targeting the Bounding from our hand, banishing it to give it go again. Plus we have some other action point shenanigan potential here with Succumb. So this could be a quite a wide turn. So there's a cool line. Oh, and I have Eloquent Eulogy, which is what they actually hit for us as well. So when I'm looking at Eloquent Eulogy, Funeral Moon, that's basically an action point. Succumb, if they decide, well, they have to take the Arcane. But if we're only presenting 1 rune chant, often they're just taking it. So what I see essentially here is like, I see the potential for a bunch of action points, and we're sitting on like another 2 things in Banish that we're happy to play. And we'll be adding this Bounding Demagon to our Banish as well to give Shadow Averser go again. So really go wide shenanigans. They're all going to be relatively small attacks, but we're going to do our best impression of a ninja in this turn. So I'm also very happy that they chose to take our 1 rune chant. Again, 1 rune chant is usually pretty unassuming, so they often choose to take it, which activates our Succumb, and it activates our Funeral Moon that we can play at instant speed. So we essentially have access to 2 action points here just on this play. So we're going to play out Succumb. If this hits, we'll be able to target a card from hand. If not, it's there. It triggers during the next time a Rune Blade attack action hits. So it's not this one that has to hit, but we want to play it now to give us an action point, and then they basically have to respond with defense reaction if they don't want us to peek at their hand and steal something. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because they went into the tank to decide. They decide to do nothing about it, or no, they can still react here. They don't react, so we get to look at their hand and strip a card, which is amazing. This card is so broken. I'm just looking through what they have. I don't care about the Spreading Plague. The E-Strike is kind of fine. E-Strike would be a good target here as well, because it does represent like 7. Maybe E-Strike is actually the play. I think I choose to take this Art of Desire Mind, but I think E-Strike might have been the call. I think my thinking was E-Strike requires 2 cards, so that might be the only thing they can do. But either way, I think either would have been a good target. So now we present the Shadow Averser from Banish, targeting the Bounding Demagon from hand, banishing a Blood Deck card to give it go again. We break the chain to make our Eloquence token, play Funeral Moon at instant speeds to restore our action point. So we're back up to 2 action points because we had 1, Shadow Averser had go again, restored it. We made a 2nd action point with Funeral Moon and Eloquence, and now we're able to play out both of our Bounding Demigons. And they are going to either take damage or give us the cards they need to present that E-Strike that they have in hand. So they decide to preserve 2 cards, probably to play the E-Strike out, but they are now at 6, which is not a good life total for them, especially when we draw into a hand like this. Envelop in Darkness when we're about to be on 3, Tunic for 3. So a free 4 value here. Plus Shadow Puppetry and Bounding, we're just laughing. On top of it, we'll be able to strip another card potentially. So I'm just deciding this is like my all-out turn. I'm breaking Vexing Quillhand to make us enough rune chance to play Deathly Wail. I'm going to play Envelop in Darkness to make a 4th rune chant. We'll take the damage either on this one or Shadow Puppetry, obviously not both. I don't know if we need to play Shadow Puppetry. We don't need any other action points. However, this could be a mistake. So I could have played the Shadow Puppetry out here because the on hit from Deathly Wail, if I see a Runegate card off top, it will allow us to basically close chain as long as it's a Runegate 2 or less. Close chain and follow up with that. So that could have been a mistake. I should have maybe played out the Shadow Puppetry here, even though I don't have immediate access to a card or something to follow it up with. I think I'm just thinking I want to preserve one of these like go again enablers for our next turn. But in this case, they're just at 5. So like no matter what we do, they're in a tough spot. They decide to take all of the rune chants, go to 2. Then they have 9 to deal with, which they are going to throw their mask under the bus. Nope, they're going to reconsider. They have to give us 3 cards essentially. No, they give us 2 and an equipment and allow this to hit. And because they allowed 1 to go through, we are able to succumb and pull a card from hand. And at that point, they basically, succumb is an insane card. It's broken. And I understand our opponent's frustration here for succumb hitting once again, stripping another card from hand. It kind of like prevents them from doing anything. So they basically scoop, but we were there. So anyways, I think again, this goes to show the power of the deck. And this is the mid-range deck once again. Something I forgot to mention. You guys might call me out and say, well, Jay, like you're showing all these games that you're winning in, like you're just cherry picking good games. Well, no, actually I played 12 games yesterday and I won them all. So this deck right now is on a 75% win rate. I only have 28 matches recorded on this. This is like my personal copy, so I can track the stats more easily. But honestly, like I just chose interesting games that were either closer or that had like interesting interactions to talk through in these next 3 videos. But I didn't lose any, so I couldn't show you any losses from yesterday. It's not like a brag or anything, but we are doing quite well on the deck. Just to show you the spread. So Verdance, which I'll show you. The next game I think is an Enigma game. The game after that is the Verdance game, which I'm going to show you guys, which is quite interesting. But I won against Azaleas and Azuris and Auroras and Dashes and all sorts of different stuff. So the deck is performing really well. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found that helpful. Give the deck list a try, again, in the description of the video. Let me know what you think, but we'll see you again real soon in the next video. So cheers, everybody.